Live from YouTube. It's Tuesday night. Welcome everyone here to another Tuesday Night Live with me, the BINBUSTER, right here. And as always, what I would like you guys to do is not only hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, but also hit the bell notification. And if you notice that thing that flew there, that QR code, hit that and it will take you directly to my channel so you can do all that fun stuff that I just told you guys to do. And always remember our pinned comment tonight to support our friend Dave Lowe, who's battling 4K Lowdown during his battle with cancer. Right there's a GoFundMe page. It's also down in the description below. So if you guys haven't checked that out, check it out. Support him and his family during this time. Cancer's no laughing matter. Cancer is very dangerous and very deadly. So support our brother, support our friend. Do that. So that's the pinned comment tonight. So that link, like I said, is going to be in pinned comments and also down in the description below for the replay. So as you guys are doing that right over there, that QR code, as you do that, support Dave as well. And tonight we have Hunter sitting right here too, waiting for us. Good evening, everyone. He waves. Hit that like button while you are here. Likes are free tonight. Yeah, they're free. All free all night long. All the likes are free. Tonight is something special. This entire month, the month of September, we're celebrating my birthday. So you guys get to do a little bit of the who's the man behind the name? Who's the man behind the name of BinBuster? So you guys get to learn a little bit about me during these Tuesday Night Lives and other videos I post throughout this month about some of my favorite stuff. Tonight we're talking about Batman, as you guys can tell. Right there and right behind me, right over there. Yeah, you see some Batman stuff too in the background. So you see, I'm a huge Batman. Hard list for me to put together. A very hard list for me to put together as the realm of placing everything where it needed to go. So without further ado, we have 10 live action Batman that I want to talk about tonight. My list of the top 10. You'd be like, but Ben, I'm counting them, and you only count 7. I'm including the serials tonight, which include Lewis Wilson and Robert Lowry. I'm also including one other special one in this list as well, too. In my opinion, he played Batman. It might have been for a crossover episode for something, but he played Batman. So, without further ado, let's get into this. Number 10, right here, and this might ruffle some people's feathers. I don't care, this is my list. So, let's ruffle the feathers tonight, folks. Number 10, right there. From Crisis on Infinite Earths on the CW, part of the Arrowverse, we get Kevin Conroy as Batman. He played a Batman who was kind of paralyzed, who was wearing this suit, this mechanical suit to help him walk and move. As the years of being Batman have taken its toll on him. And this was a perfect way to set up Batwoman, played by Ruby Rose right there, to take his spot. How you doing tonight, D-Ray? How you doing tonight, man? Hunter saying hi to D-Ray. So you see, Kevin Conroy tonight is in my number 10. You'd be like, but he's animated. Yes, he had a thing on here. He played Batman. We see him once with, yeah, he didn't get to fight in the costume, but he did kind of put it on a little bit in there as well, too. So he did more as Batman than Ian Armitage did on Titans and David Munoz did on Gotham. So that's why those two are not included in this list of live action Batman. So we're going off. He's number 10, even though he is the best animated Batman. He's been that for 30 years. Rest in peace, Mr. Conroy. Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. Oh, not Ian Armitage. Ian Glenn. Yeah. Yeah. Or AI and Glenn from, yeah, from Tens. How you doing, CG anime fan tonight? How are you doing, man? Hunter saying hi to you too. How you doing, man? Welcome to the channel, man. Thanks for showing up. Yeah, it was Ian Glenn that I was thinking of, not Ian Armitage, who I realized after I said that it was young Sheldon. My bad. But yeah, yes. he did play Batman, but it wasn't enough for me to put him on this list. It wasn't necessarily one of my favorites. If I had to do 10 and only 10, he didn't. Mr. Glenn did not make my list. Sorry. But he's a good choice. He's a very good choice for this list if you want to put that on there. But like I was saying about Kevin Conroy, one of the best did it for about 20 to 30 years. That role. Video games, movies, um, cartoon shows. I mean, even on Batman Brave and the Bold, he played the Gray Ghost. It was kind of cool. He played the Gray Ghost to Diedrich Bader's Batman, to one where Thomas Wayne was played by Adam West. It was kind of cool to see that in there. So, kind of having all three animated Batmans at that time together, that was kind of cool. But he's number 10. I placed him on here because it was a one-off deal. He kind of just played Batman there, and he's been Batman for most of my life, most of my childhood. I feel glad and grateful that you included this movie serial Batman because they don't get enough recognition. A lot of people don't know them and think that Adam West is the first Batman actor. I'm glad you said that, CG anime fan, because number 9, right now, we're going to number 9. Number 9 is none other than Lewis Wilson himself. Yes, that's right. From the 1943 serial entitled Batman and Robin. Ooh, no, entitled Batman. Yes, entitled Batman. Because there was one Batman and Batman and Robin. So, 1943 series. Lewis Wilson was the first actor to ever play Batman, folks, as you guys can see right there in my picture. Him and Douglas Croft, who played Robin, were the first two actors to play Batman and Robin. And right here we have J. Carrol Naish playing Dr. Daka, who was a Japanese super spy in here. So, what was this one about? Well, in this one, they served as a Batman and Robin were served as government agents put up against the Japanese super spy Dr. Daka. So they were representing truth, justice, and the American way, pretty much, during a time when World War II was there. So you guys have to understand. Let's explain what a serial is for people who don't understand. A serial was an early version of a TV series. Hey, Tiana, how you doing tonight? And congratulations on the news you shared on Instagram. For those of you that don't know, Tiana's is expecting baby in 2025. Congrats. Congrats. You're going to be awesome as a mom. So, anyways, Lewis Wilson, 1943, what the serials are early TV shows. What I mean by that is you get a 12 to 15 minute episode that played in front of your movie every week. So every week you would see Batman for about the span of 15 episodes. You would see Batman and Robin in there, and each week there would end in a cliffhanger. His bad ears in the early days look more like devil horns. Yeah, he kind of had that more of that devil looking on there as well too. She said, "Thanks, you're welcome." J.K. Onesh almost got to play Joker, but Joker got taken out. The direction was made pretty late, so there's a poster that has Joker. Yeah, I know. I seen that poster. I was like, ooh, that would have been cool. Tiana saying hey to Movie Hunter, and D-Ray says hey to Tiana. So, but this was a 15 chapter series by Columbia, where one would play throughout the entire week, going into. It was twins. That's what I thought. It was twins. I completely forgot it was one or twins. It's twins. So congrats, Tiana. But they were played in front of instead of trailers like we get now. We get serious. And as if you haven't seen, check out the QR code up there. Check out mine from last week where I was talking about how movie theaters how they can win back people. And this is one of the ways. A serial like this is one of the ways that I described on how movie theaters can kind of win people back. Can kind of win people back. So, can kind of win people back. And with that, you get to see a new one each week. So it says, stay tuned to here. Come back to the theaters next week for your continuing adventures of Batman. And you had to see if he came out of that chip or not. You never know. He could have not survived. So, and see, that's the thing. Stop at two. Oh, but that's what serials were, folks. Wilson is merits a footnote in the pop culture history for being the first big screen Batman in the, like I said, this 15 chapter serial from Columbia Pictures, released just 4 years after the Cape Crusader made its debut in Detective Comics. That's impressive because usually you guys got Commander Cody, you guys got Cowboy ones, you got Dick Tracy, you got the Shadow, Flash Gordon. So you had people who had a long history of comic material to go by. Batman, after only 4 years, gets his first serial. That shows you how popular Batman was from the get-go, people. There's little else that can be said about his performance, however, and at the very least, is it complimentary. An inadvertently comical figure in a pantsuit that overemphasizes sensible paunch. Yes, he kind of was a little bit overweight for this role, which I think kind of brought a little bit of the campiness into play here. A Batman tricked out with a pointy ears large enough to double his radio towers. Wilson managed to outcamp Adam West's high camp Batman when the 1943 series was reissued in theaters around the same time as the 1966-68 Batman TV series premiered on ABC. You love Flash Gordon, yeah. That serial is amazing. They even had Captain Marvel, or Shazam, as we all know him. There's a bunch of series out there. Green Hornet. Check out series if you guys haven't yet. Check them out. It's always a bunch of fun. Horizon should have been something similar to this, folks, in theaters. But I digress. Even so, the series itself is without some curiosity value. It reveals how Batman, unlike Sherlock Holmes, Tarzan, and other fictional good guys, was pressed into wartime service during World War II. So they kind of put those guys were pressed into wartime service during World War II. Batman wasn't. Batman was served as a government agent against Dr. Dacca. What Dr. Dacca's whole thing was here, he was trying to control the mind of this inventor to try and control people's minds, to do them what his bidding. So it was kind of sci-fi-ish at the same time as everything. There's an obscure version of Batman called Alias Batman in Robin, where Batman is played by a Filipino comedian, Joey De Leon. It's hard to find what's actually really funny. I might have to check that out. That's kind of how, I think it was that serial that kind of brought Cesar Romero into the picture to play the Joker in 66. I could be wrong, but I heard something somewhere about that. So now we get into number 8. Number 8 was a tough one for me because I like this movie. But Val Kilmer kind of wasn't himself in this movie. Kilmer had a tough act to follow when he took over the Batman role after Michael Keaton in Batman Forever in 1995. After Keaton joined director Tim Burton in departing the franchise. Trouble is, he couldn't or wouldn't do nearly enough to put his own distinctive stamp on the character. Come to think of it, he didn't fare much better when 2 years later he attempted to reboot another franchise as the title hero in The Saint. Guess neither one was his Huckleberry, huh? In all fairness, though, it should be noted that anyone who would have been hard-pressed to stand apart unscathed from the righteous blur of chaotic express that defined this and Joel Schumacher's subsequent movie Batman Robin. So, I'd put Val Kilmer here not because he was a horrible Batman. He was slated into a project that could have been something completely different, but wasn't. Like, there's a Schumacher cut out there of something that was much darker. If this was a darker movie and not kind of starting to go aboard the campy route, he probably would have been better up on my list. If he just made the character his own a little bit more, showed off his acting chops that we all know he has, he could have made this role better. He would have been higher up on my list for sure. CGM fan is staying. In his opinion, Val Kilmer's Batman is underrated. It's a shame that a lot of his best material got cut. Yeah, I know. I heard that he went super dark with the whole how he became Batman in here. That Val Kilmer's like, let's keep this in. That he actually had enjoyed those scenes because he wanted to be more dramatic in a role like this. And Say what you will, Jim Carrey outshined them all in this movie. But yeah, like CG anime fan here says, he is kind of underrated. This is by far one of my favorite Batman movies. Batman Forever is my favorite one because it's fun. It's fun. It still has its darker tones under the Tim Burton era, but it kind of is a little bit campy, not Batman and Robin campy, but but right there. So since he didn't really do much in the role, he kind of makes my number 8. Just because he didn't do much to warrant being Batman in here. A lot of the releases are included in the disc release. They're worth watching. Yeah, they are. Believe it or not, in for the uh McFarlane figures for this set. So you get Batman, you get Robin, you get Two-Face, and you get Riddler. You can make that bat. Like, you literally get the parts to make the bat. So McFarlane's been doing that recently where he's included stuff so you have to buy the entire set to make another figure. The figure is that bat in that in that dream sequence. It's worth getting because that bat looks amazing in the in that set. So we go number 7. Number 7 right now is Robert Lowry, the other Batman from the serials. Number 7 is Robert Lowry, from the 1949 serials, folks. Lowry was a B-movie mainstay throughout his decades-long movie and TV career. A journeyman actor whose resume suggests someone much more comfortable as a straight shooting cowboy than a playboy turned masked crime fighter. Even so, he proved to be a marked improvement over Lewis Wilson in the second 15-chapter Batman serial produced by Columbia Pictures. If only because he didn't look like he needed to be spending more time on the bat treadmill like Lewis Wilson did. He, also in his favor, he was amusingly effectively smooth talker whenever Bruce Wayne cracked wise with ace photojournalist Vicky Vale, played by Jane Adams. This is the one I would recommend people to watch. Out of both serials, this is the one I would recommend people to watch. You get a smooth talker of Bruce Wayne, who he should be. You get Vicky Vale. You get the Wizard in here, whose thing is to control the weather. So we get him in here. The war, he's battling somebody in Gotham. He is not going against super spies in this one. So makes a lot of sense in this one. Nice. Of those build-a sets with extra pieces to an exclusive figure. Yeah. Yeah, they're nice, Hunter. Expensive to get them all, but yeah, they're nice. So you see, I love this one because it sets up Vicky Vale, which is a comic character that has lost all sense of urgency in Batman's life, even in Gotham. More recently, ever since like the early '90s, she disappeared from comics. She's the Lois Lane of Gotham, for Pete's sake, people. She's the Lois Lane of Gotham. That's the easiest way to put it. The Lois Lane of Gotham. And so, with that, seeing her in here and seeing her kind of not necessarily be a damsel in distress, but actually save our heroes a couple times was actually pretty amazing. And she even put clues together a little bit before Batman did, but never gave him that thing. It's like, I'm better than you because I did it. No. Just the way Lowry and Jane played together, the chemistry was amazing in this scene. So check this one out if you guys can. The 49 serial called Batman and Robin. The first one was Batman. This is Batman and Robin. With I forget who plays Robin in this. Douglas Croft was the other one. But if you notice here, you see the Robin here. He has a shorter, slick back hair. The other Robin had like curly hair, and he didn't really look like he didn't look like or act like a Ward. This one kind of did more so. The Alfreds were different. The Alfreds drove the Batmobile that changed color and everything, which was kind of cool. Bruce Wayne's car was a convertible. We would put up the hood. It's now the Batmobile. License plate change. It was epic. So number 6. You guys be my thank you, CG anime fan Johnny Duncan. Thank you. His name escaped me. I always get him and Douglas Croft mixed up in these two. But Johnny Duncan did a fantastic job in here as well. Like I said, number 6. You guys might kill me. Some of you might be like, how could you put this one up here? Well, if you know what my number 1 is, you can kind of see why I put this one up here. But the reason I did this is because of the acting aspect of it. Um, yeah. And this one, my friends, is none other than Batman and Robin in 1999 with George Clooney. Yes, George Clooney is at number 6. Clooney might be remembered as one of the better Batmen if he had not been stuck in one of the worst Bat movies of all time. It was quite engaging as either half of a seriously split personality, suave playboy and Cape Crusader, and his interactions with Michael Gogh's aged Alfred Pennyworth were surprisingly affecting. George Clooney showed some chops in here despite how bad this movie was. I would, like, honestly, you think Bruce Wayne, you think George Clooney. You think Bruce Wayne is the suave, debonair playboy, you think George Clooney. His Batman was pretty cool. And the whole side story with Alfred being sick and trying to find a cure for McGregor's and just his reaction with him, like, you see the nuance to the character of Bruce that Alfred's not just his butler, but he actually cares for him like a member of the family, which you never really got in any of the previous movies up to this point, or even in the comics at that time, or even in the serials. Up until here, Alfred was just the butler. He was just the guy in the house taking care of the house. Here, you actually see him as a family member. He's dying. Bruce is beside himself. He has to save Gotham, but at the same time, try and help his father figure in his life, Alfred. Try and save him throughout all this, too. Those scenes with him were just amazing. You can tell George Clooney was not necessarily phoning it in, but he was doing his best he could do with the script. And you can say a movie, he sucks as Batman because of this movie. The movie sucks. George Clooney did the best he could with it. And ultimately, that's why I don't like this movie, but his Batman, his Bruce Wayne, his Batman, because it's a dual-sided thing here. That's why it's labeled the way it is. This stream, I'm going with the Batman side of things, but you have to talk about both characters. You have to talk about the Bruce Wayne, and you have to talk about the Batman side of these characters. George Clooney embodied both of them perfectly. He was asked to do some camp. He did some camp. It worked. It worked at times. It did not work at times. Better still, he slightly implied now and then how much fun being a master vigilante might be for a dude rich enough to afford all the high-tech toys he needed for such a hobby. Yeah. That was actually George Clooney in real life saying, yeah, if I was that rich, I would have all those toys to be Batman too. Who wouldn't? I know I would. Seriously. Unfortunately, the overstuffed supporting cast of heroes and villains often made Batman seem like a guest star in his own movies. And yes, there was the bat nipples as well. But this movie with Bane, John Glover as Woodrow, Jason Woodrow, who becomes the Floronic Man, who never becomes Floronic Man in this movie for some weird reason. Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. We get Arnold Schwarzenegger's ridiculous Mr. Freeze. We get Chris O'Donnell back as Robin. We get Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl, who's not even related to Commissioner Gordon, who's related to Alfred in here. Kind of looks like his sister. So it's yeah. So in this one, Batman just seemed like a back character in a lot of it because most of the villain side story in this one was Freeze trying to do right by his wife, trying to cure his wife. At the same time, Poison Ivy, who these villains are two completely opposites. One gives life and one freezes things to death. Polar opposites as villains. What can I say? And what Poison Ivy wants to do is just wants to put Gotham in her grasp for what happened to her. Why would you do that when go after all of Gotham when it's just Jason Woodrow who did that to you? I don't know. I don't know. And Mr. Freeze always gets a bad rap because he just freezes people. He's a horrible villain. He does it for love, people, and that is why he's one of Batman's best villains because he does everything he does is to find a cure for his wife, who's ailing, and he freezes her until he can find a cure for the disease that's ailing her. And in this movie, it happens to be McGregor syndrome, which is the disease Alfred has gone on. And he gives Bruce 2 vials to give to Alfred to help him survive because Poison Ivy pulled the plug on Nora in this movie. And you can see it. Say what you will about Arnold Schwarzenegger, but you can kind of see it in here. The pain he suffers when he finds that out by the little recording Batman did. Because he's going after Batman because he thought Batman did it the whole time because that's what Poison Ivy told him. But now he sees it and he's like, you see that change of heart. You see why he's doing what he's doing. And that's what makes Mr. Freeze amazing as a character. That subtle nuance when he changes it, you kind of see it in Arnold's eyes. It's like, oh, okay. And he gives him the cure for McGregor's. There you go. Number 5. Number 5 is right here. Ben Affleck. Yes, I'm getting into modern stuff right now. So I'm into my top 5. Oh, Michael Keaton's still up there. Adam West is still there. Oh, where are they going to fall? I have no idea. But Ben Affleck in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice in 2016, Suicide Squad in 2016, Justice League in 2021. He was, and The Flash. I forgot to write The Flash in there too. The Flash as well. So a brief cameo on that. Affleck tried a wee bit too hard to convey glowering and growly grit as an unshaven and possibly unstable bat guy. But he did something. But it did help in some sections of the Justice League in both versions. His bulky batsuit invoked images of the Michelin Tire Man. Still, he earned points for conveying the physical and psychological toll of Cape Crusading. Yes, say what you will about Ben Affleck. He showed you the side the toll would take on this guy's body and mind. Body and mind. And that's something impressive. That's something very impressive that he pulled off in here. Trying to, in a mask that covers most of your face, you have to try and convey those emotions. Ben Affleck was all right in that role. So, in Batman and Superman, He's suggested as an increasingly paranoid, stress for success zealot, edging perilously close to psychosis as Batman attempted to preemptively control Superman. Yes, as you guys can see, he kind of took a little bit hints of Michael Keaton's Batman in here, who was all by himself. He really wasn't the playboy that everyone thought he was. That he was a recluse. Something Bruce is not. Bruce Wayne is the man. He is the mask. Batman's the man. Batman wants to be a people person. He's Bruce Wayne. And it's two completely polar opposites. Batman is who he became that night in Crime Alley. Bruce Wayne is who he was going to be anyways if his parents weren't killed in Crime Alley. So that's the thing about Bruce and Batman. In Justice League, he came across as burnt out and borderline suicidal, even while he at his most Batmanly. At one point in 2003's underrated Daredevil, Affleck's Man Without Fear raided his well-stocked medicine cabinet for a few potent painkillers after an especially grueling dust-up with the bad guys. He plays grit. He plays grit and grizzled very well, though in a character like that. So his Batman didn't resort to similar self-medication in Justice League, but after he revealed the brutal bruising that he received from a revived Superman, you can't help thinking he would have appreciated a Percodone or two to go along with this stiff drink. Yeah, so just to let you guys know that that was actually Ben Affleck's Batman was more Batman than a lot of on here. But if you look at the overall character, I really wish we got a solo film with him. because he just felt out of place a lot of times in what we got him in. If we got him in a solo film, he might be higher up on my list. He might be. He's definitely going to be a lot higher than some. Is he 5? Maybe he is in my list. I'm thinking about it right now. Maybe he is still 5 on my list at this. I don't know. If we got a solo film, I would have liked to have seen more, honestly. So right now, we're going with number 4. Number 4 right now is Robert Pattinson. Yeah, the Pattinson right now. As the most recent cinematic iteration of the Cape Crusader, Robert Pattinson is by turns inconsolably glum and per naturally pissed, a psychologically valid but dramatically limited approach to playing both the recluse Bruce Wayne and the crime-fighting Dark Knight as edging close to moral and psychical and physical exhaustion. What's up, Jerry? How you doing tonight, man? Ben Affleck's bad guy seems almost like a cuddlesome madcap by comparison. So why does he rank so high here? Because despite those limitations, or arguably because of them, Pattinson's interpretation perfectly in sync with director Matt Reeves' Dark Vision, arguably is the most daring on this list. For one thing, his Batman positively delights in delivering serious smackdowns of minor and major bad guys. Much like Cole Hauser's rip of TV's Yellowstone, he doesn't just punch them, he beats them. And that's what I loved. It's not just a punch here, a kick here, or something like that. He actually beats these guys down and up. He's to the point where they're injured and can't move. Hunter's saying hi to Jerry. But you guys see, he does that. And that's what makes this character a little bit better than Ben Affleck's. Like I said, if I got a solo Batman film, maybe these two, him and Affleck, would be switched up. Maybe. Maybe not. I honestly don't know. Without a solo Ben Affleck Batman film, you don't know what you would have gotten. Or he would have ranked on a list like this. And if I've done the math correctly, he's playing the character in his early to mid 30s. And just 2 or 3 years into his vigilante job. So he's relatively new. It's not an origin story. He's about 2 years in. So he's a year 2 Batman, year 3 Batman. And he's in his mid 30s. So he's still relatively young in doing all this. And I say this because Batman probably started when he was 28, shortly after college, trying to find himself, becomes head of Wayne Enterprises, does the Bruce Wayne thing, and then becomes the vigilante in 28. So 2 years in, about 2 3 years in, early to mid 30s, makes sense for his role. Makes sense for his role as well. His curiosity is piqued as he begins the investigation of the murder spree by a mass serial killer modeled after the Riddler of DC Comics, which was kind of weird, but it's the take on the Riddler here is kind of weird. Yes, he leaves clues, but he's a murderer. A serial killer, I never thought of the Riddler this way. I always thought of him as kind of like a computer hacker. If they were ever to do him again, yeah, which would be a lot better. Never thought of him like they portrayed him in this movie by Paul Dano, who did an amazing job, by the way. Nothing against Paul Dano. He did an amazing job in this movie. He realizes the killings involves a cadre of corrupt Gotham City notables that may include his late father. But even with a little help from the vengeful Selina Kyle, Pattinson's Batman sporadically bites off more than he can chew. At one point, he literally has to give himself a shot of adrenaline to continue fighting. Yes. Worse, he's forced to confront the possibility and the inevitability that he might inspire copycat masked vigilantes with insane agendas. There's always a discourse along Batman fans. Did Batman inspire his rogues gallery, or was his rogues gallery inspired by him? Well, was he inspired because of his rogues gallery, or was his rogues gallery inspired by him? That's what it is. Batman's not a product of his rogues gallery. The rogues gallery is a product of the Batman. Yes, some of these guys might have existed in some way, shape, or form before Batman hit. Penguin, crime boss, existed before Batman showed up. The Falcones, all Rupert Thorne, all those type of mobsters. Harvey Dent existed before Bruce was there. But it's the Batman that brought out all the darkness of these people. Don't believe me? Go read a comic book. Honestly, it's Batman's doing that. He does this to Gotham and his Rogues Gallery. So number 3. My number 3, many people might be like, why did you put this one at 3? It's Christian Bale. We're getting to our top 2. You guys probably figured out which ones they are. But what order are they in? So, Christian Bale. Batman Begins in 2005, The Dark Knight in 2008, and The Dark Knight Rises in 2012. Bale had a decisive advantage here over the other bad guys because he actually got to maneuver through an emotionally unsatisfying character arc over the course of the Dark Knight trilogy. A lot of these guys only got one movie, maybe 2. One got a series. So, evolving from novice vigilante to a living legend to happily unburdened retiree, he has invaluable assistance from 2 first-rate partners in crime fighting, Morgan Freeman's Lucius Fox, sage weapon mains Alfred Pennyworth, a sacred father with a warrior past. But Bale richly deserves the top spot. Deserves in the top 3 for me. Some can argue a top spot. They can argue a top spot. Not on my list though. They can argue a top spot for him. Portray the life-size man behind the larger-than-life Batman because of his ability to play that. It may sound absurd at first blush to describe the realistic element, any element of aggressively overamped and even operatic Dark Knight films, but Bale infused just enough vulnerability into the Batman character to make it feel like every clash with every foe, not just Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, but every foe, really was a matter of life or death. I can honestly see why some people would place him higher on this list. When I was doing research on this, just getting stuff from their movies, so I didn't have to watch every single one of these. I got notes from their movies off a wiki, and I was reading stuff about backstories of this, what they were inspired by and everything. Doing the research for that actually showed me that a lot of people had Christian Bale as number 1. He isn't for me because that's not where I would rank him. Because my number 2, my wife is going to hate me for this because this is her favorite. My number 2 is none other than the 89 Batman himself, Michael Keaton. That's right. Maybe difficult, not impossible for subsequent generations of Bat fans to appreciate the outrage that ensued when, back in the day, director Tim Burton announced that Michael Keaton, best known for his well-received dramatic turn in Clean and Sober, as a lightweight comedic actor who would play the Cape Crusader. But he seemingly counterintuitive casting proved to be an inspired choice, as Keaton elevated the flood tide and undercurrents of rage that percolated just below the surface of many of his previous performances in order to play Batman, equal parts Zorro, Dracula, and the Phantom of the Opera, with just the discomforting touch of paranoid schizophrenia thrown in for good measure. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Yeah. See, he embodies all those. Like you get Zorro, which Batman's based off of Zorro, the Dracula because of the whole dark, and Phantom of the Opera because he's a man in a mask. And this is between Batman and Batman Returns in 89 and 92. Yes, he was upstaged by Jack Nicholson's Joker in 89 Batman, but just barely. Like Michael Keaton, Beetlejuice, because Beetlejuice is coming out this week. Michael Keaton, had some comedic chops in there, and they're like, why him? But then we see it, and it's like, oh, good choice. He played a Batman that right at the turn of the 90s, comics were starting to get darker. Comics were shifting from light and campy to dark and real, more realistic. So that's what he was doing, folks. That's what this movie was. He started going with what the comic books were, and so with that, that's what we got for Batman. We got a Batman that was real. His world was still over the top, but Batman that was seemed to be more grounded in realism and not campiness at all. But speaking of campiness, my number one is Adam West. Why? Because this is the one I grew up on. And a lot of people my age, right around that early 40s mark, this is probably the one they remember watching a lot on reruns growing up. This was on FX all the time. I remember having like a Labor Day marathons about just showing the entire Batman 66 to 68 catalog all day. All day. This is what the campiness of this character, the campiness of the comic books at that time is what drew me into the character. Yes, I started reading the campy side of Batman first before I started reading the early 90s stuff. That shifted the tone in the character, which I appreciate, which I love now too. But there's something to be said about the campiness of this movie, of this TV show, of this choice as Batman. Many comic book purists are loath to admit it. Indeed, some get downright testy when you raise the issue, but for many casual fans, West was and always will be the Batman. And to a large degree, that's because unlike most other actors who have donned the cape and cowl, he played the senior partner in the dynamic duo as someone really, truly, and apologetically enjoyed the dichotomy of being a suave millionaire who moonlights as a masked vigilante. Because you could even tell in here that he enjoyed being both roles. Some people, when they sign up for Batman, they're just like, oh, I get to be Batman. I get to be the dark guy. And then, hey, Joe Coda, how are we doing? And then they completely sidestep Bruce Wayne. Or some people are like, oh, I get to be Bruce Wayne. I get to be this playboy. And they don't do Batman justice. Like, seriously, they don't. Adam West did both pretty well. And his voices were awesome. It wasn't a grizzled voice like this. He actually just tinged his voice up a little bit as he's Batman. Spoke a little bit differently than Bruce did. Bruce was like kind of more happy, joyful tones to his voice, whereas his Batman was more serious in his tone of his voice. And that takes a great actor to do that. Never mind the 60s Batman TV series had a limited novelty value of its time. It lasted secretly 2 years on ABC and was running on fumes long before its cancellation. Thanks to the endless reruns of the series and the endlessly availability of the 1966 movie, West's straight-faced yet drolly satirical take on the Cape Crusader, the Light Knight as he's been called, or the Bright Knight as he's been called, if you will, remains the Batman who looms largest for the largest number of people in the pop culture pantheon. Hell, even Rachel Maddow promises to be back at the same time, same bad channel on hers. Jagoda just shows up. Jago shows up pretty much when I'm done. Thanks, bud, for showing up tonight. But you see, Adam West was the first Batman I saw. It was probably the colorful Rogues Gallery, the colors of this show that drew me in. That's what drew me into Batman. It's like, even in comic books, even when I first started reading them as a kid, the colors is what drew me in. And that's what drew me into the show. This is what drew me into this take on Batman. This was by far my favorite Batman, just because I could see the Adam West Batman being both Bruce Wayne and and Batman at the same time. Even Burt Ward as Robin. Even Burt Ward as Robin was pretty awesome to say in here. And Charles Napier. Yeah, Charles Napier. Oh no, sorry, Alan Napier. Alan Napier as Alan Napier as Alfred was even awesome in here too. Try and keep the secret from good old Anne Harriet. Yeah. But you see, you saw in here even Batman care for some of his villains like William McElroy, King Tut. You see him that he's kind of he's kind of in there. He's kind of Adam was his heart to top. Yeah, yes. Even to the fact that we got two animated movies with Adam West. We got The Return of the Cape Crusader with him and Burt Ward reprising their roles in animated form. But we also got the Lost episode finally filmed with William Shatner playing Harvey Dent. Yes, William Shatner was supposed to play Harvey Dent in an episode in a two-part series on this TV show. But they felt it was too dark for kids. Because you have to remember, Batman this time was exclusively for kids. This show was. So they thought Two Face was too dark. So they scrapped that and went with False Face and the Puzzler, Louis the Lilac, Lord Marmaduke Fogg. And you had your Joker, Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman, Mr. Freeze. In there, Clock King shows up, King Tut shows up, Egghead, Olga. You get Liberace in there as a Chandel. You get Van Johnson as a minstrel. You get Art Carney as the archer. Like you just got weird characters in here, and it worked. It was a very colorful thing because that's the kind of characters you got in the comic books at that time. So it was a product of the stuff that had happened there. It was also a product of a way of saying, hey, this was the last Batman we had before '89. So a lot of kids before that '89 movie showed up and it was too dark. I was 5 when that movie came out. I was 5. My parents are not going to take me to see to see Batman 5. I saw the '89 one in theaters. Yeah, I saw the '89 one in theaters. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I saw the '92. Sorry, Batman Returns in '92. I saw that one in theaters. I didn't see '89 in theaters. I was 5 at the time. In '92, I was 8. Yeah, because 94 would have been 10. Yeah, 92 was 8. I saw that in theaters. I enjoyed the character. I loved the character because of Adam West. Like CG anime fan who's here tonight said, Adam West is hard to top. Yeah, he not only brought a nuance to the character that made you believe that he is a millionaire playboy, but also kind of had you believe that someone else was Batman. Especially when the Green Hornet shows up in town and Britt reads Batman and Bruce Wayne is the Green Hornet. Even though Green Hornet's not fooling anyone, his chauffeur is named Kato and his sidekick is named Kato. Go figure with that one. At least Bruce Wayne was smart enough to use different names than that. But I digress. This was my list of my top 10 Batmans. Tell me down below what your list is in the comments section, folks. And I know there's only 9. I put Kevin Conroy here at the end because I wanted 10. Tell me you know what? Throw Will Arnett in there. Throw all the vocal talents in here. Give me your ultimate list of your Batman. All the way down from all the vocal talents, including Troy Baker, Will Arnett, Diedrich Bader, the current guy from Cape Crusader, uh, Jensen Ackles. Throw them all in there. Give me an entire list. Comment down below of what your guys' lists are, because this was my definitive list of the live action Batman. I'll be here back next week, but not on Tuesday. I'll be here on Wednesday. I have something to do Tuesday night, so I will be going live on Wednesday for you guys. Same time, same channel right here. So check out the little QR code right here, folks. The little QR code right there for when that's being posted. And I'm going to go through a collection that I've been meaning to go through and do a video for on this channel for the longest time. That collection, my friends, is my M&M collection. So, so I'll be doing a lot of that here. I'll be doing a lot of that next week, going through my M&M collection. And as always, I'll see you guys here at same bin time, same bin channel, but different time, a different day next week. Different day next week. And until then, I'll see you guys later.